welcome back to Liz's Reading Corner, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Liz and I like books, and this is day one of Bookmas. Oh, I'm nervous. So we're going to choose between the two prompts. I'm going to use the random wheel spinny thing to choose whether I read my prompt or ChatGPT's prompt. So just for a refresher, even though I quite literally put the video out yesterday, my prompt was a book with Christmas on the cover, and I chose Last Christmas by Maria Franklin. ChatGPT, the prompt was a horror novel set during a snowstorm, and the book Snowblind by Christopher Golden. So we're going to spin the wheel, see how it goes, see which book we're going to be reading. Okay, so I'll put it here. Last Christmas by Maria Franklin. It's going to be an ebook I've borrowed from the library, and I've never read a Christmassy book, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it's going to be a good one. We'll see. I'm about 80% of the way through Last Christmas. This is my first Christmas themed book, and I'm not really enjoying it. I said it. I could have had it finished by now, but I wanted to spend some time with my husband and play some games with him. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was very poorly written, which I feel like I've been saying about a lot of books lately, but this, it's kind of like a murder mystery, but also like a secrets in the family kind of thing, and it's just not very well done at all. There's 3 different perspectives in the book. I just don't like any of the characters, so I don't know. We'll see what the twist is at the end. Pretty sure I've picked what the twist is. We'll see how we go. We'll see if I'm right. But right now, I'm going to be very excited for the book to be over. I'm like this close to it being finished. So, hooray for it almost being over. I finished. Oh, it was not a good start. Quick side note, this makes me feel very tall. I am not very tall at all. I am 5'4". I'm like 164 centimeters. So this makes me feel almost like a giant because I'm taller than my tallest shelf on my bookshelf. So that's awesome. But anyway, that's not why you're here. You're here for my book. Not my book. The book I read. My honest opinions. That was terrible. Honestly, that was terrible. I am not looking forward to reading more Christmas books. Quite honestly, I'm a little bit worried. This was meant to be a Christmas thriller, murder mystery type book, and it tried. Like it tried really hard, but it just wasn't it. Oh god, it was terrible. Where do I start? I don't even know where to start. So okay, so this book follows 3 different points of view, and we have the husband who is battling severe depression, like wants to and is seriously considering unaliving himself. So he has very serious depression. He has very serious alcoholism because he's using that to cope with his depression. He is a plumber by trade, but is not getting very much work because of his alcoholism. Added to that, him and his wife are trying, which is one of the sisters in the family. I don't know if she's the youngest, but she's one of the sisters in the family. they are trying to have a baby, and they found out that he is almost infertile and she doesn't have very good genetics either, and so they're really, really struggling to conceive. And so they're waiting to get on like this list for IVF and to like try and have a baby, and so their relationship is really strange. Their relations have just become like a job instead of actual relations, which I couldn't imagine how awful it would be to just struggle to conceive. That's horrible. I couldn't imagine. And so they find out that his wife, and what is her name? I've even forgotten her name. I had to look these up because I couldn't remember the names. That's how non-memorable this thing is. Neil is the husband, so the first point of view that we read through. He is married to Sasha, who has two sisters, Rebecca and Christy, and they are going to Sasha's parents' place for Christmas because Sasha's father is terminally ill. He has bowel cancer, I think it was. And so this is his last Christmas. He's been told he only has a couple of months to live, and they're trying to make the best of the time that they have left with him. And Neil does not want to be there. He is already battling deep depression. Rebecca, who is the eldest sister, I believe, has 2 children already, and they are pregnant and very close to having their third. Sasha's husband, no, Stuart? Or Adam? No, Adam. Sasha's husband is Adam. Christy's husband is Stuart. Okay, so there are so many names to remember. Rebecca's husband is Greg. Christy's husband is Adam. And Stuart is their father, who's sick, and I can't remember the mother's name. So Adam and Greg are not very nice to Neil. They think that he's just like this piece of trash human being, that he is not worthy of their sister-in-law, and there's like this whole family dynamic where basically they're just like really snarky towards him. They're just not very nice. They're not friendly. They don't consider him to be part of the family. It's made very obvious when they're going around doing like Christmas speeches that he's not welcome there. And this culminates in like this fight between either Neil and, I think it's Neil and Adam. And yeah, so there's this fight between Neil and Adam, and so the mother tells them to go and walk off their differences, like go and sort out their differences, go for a walk, get out of the house, get away from everyone, and it's just not great. Christmas Day is ruined basically. And so they go for a walk, they end up on top of these cliffs, and only one of them comes back. The next point of view is Sasha's, and she finds out that her husband is dead, or her husband is missing, eventually finds out that he's dead, and there's questions as to whether he actually jumped because he was very depressed, or whether he was pushed. And then we find out, and then so we go through like her first couple of weeks. She's like really, really sick. She finds out she's pregnant. She goes through the funeral. Her sister, who seems extremely jealous of her, announces to everyone that she's pregnant, and she didn't want to be announcing it to everyone that she's pregnant yet. And then so Sasha runs out of the funeral, or the wake, and gets hit by a car and ends up in intensive care. She's alive, baby is unharmed. But now there's questions as to who the father is of the baby, and then we get to the third point of view, which is told from Christy's point of view. I don't know if she's the middle sister or she's the baby sister, but she's like the other sister in this whole thing, and she's like trying to figure out what happened to Sasha, like how her husband is factored into it. She questions whether it was her husband who was cheating with Sasha or whether it was Greg, and there's like all these ridiculous, oh my god, the whole miscommunication thing is ridiculous. And then on top of that, there's the whole cheating aspect, because Sasha slept with one of her sister's husbands, and I know that that whole thing is just to, I don't know, like provoke some kind of an emotion from you, and it just irritated me because it was very poorly written. The whole thing was very poorly written, quite honestly. But it's just, I don't know, it just felt not believable. It was just not believable. It didn't feel believable at all. Like, the whole thing was not believable. All of the characters were like really, really petty. We're meant to be believing that they're in their 30s and they're acting like teenagers and they're carrying on like teenagers, and like, that's coming from someone who has a very not mature family, and they felt immature even to me, and so that was really frustrating to deal with. Quite honestly, none of the characters were likable. They were all awful. Christy is the closest that comes to being likable, but even she is really immature and really irritating. I just can't stand her. I don't like any of the husbands, like any of the men. The men just feel like boys, quite literally. I feel bad for Neil. Out of all of these, Neil, the first guy, and it really frustrates me that his mental health issues were, instead of being explored, they were just used as a plot point, and they were not very well fleshed out. No one took him seriously, which is something that happens in real life, very unfortunately. But just the way that it was written, it was a tool. It was a means to an end, and it could have been written very much better than what it was. And I think because I'm doing a mental health degree, it really frustrates me when I read really poorly written mental health issues. Like, it frustrates me so much. Oh, it frustrates me. So there's a lot of problems with the book. Quite honestly, the whole book is problematic. For the first Christmas book that I read, it was really, really disappointing. I probably will never pick up anything that she reads again. I can't stand this sort of juvenile feeling fiction. It's just not for me. I gave it 2 stars purely because I felt bad for Neil. And I know Neil's a fictional character, but I just felt bad for him. I just felt awful. So yeah, that's the first book done. That's book 1, day 1 of Bookmas finished. Have you read this book? If you have, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you have a suggestion for the prompts or a different book that you would have chosen for these prompts, I would love to hear it. If you like what I do here, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you tomorrow for Bookmas day 2. Bye.